Welcome to chapter 10. The subject changes now and goes from Paul to Peter. And it starts in verse 1 of chapter 10. Anir they tis in Caesarea. And a certain man was there in Caesarea. Onomati Cornelios, by name Cornelius, ekaton tarchis, a centurion ex spiris tis calumenes italikis. He's a centurion. A hectare is 100. We get the ekta in the beginning. For a hectare is a derivative of a 10 or 100 acres. And then archis, a ruler of 100. And he was from the cohort, which is a spiris, which is a group of men that are in army formation walking side by side. And the cohort was being called the italikis, italic cohort. You can study these centurions, the cohorts of the different armies, legions of the Romans, and find all kinds of information of what those people were doing at this time and before. There's a lot of records that were kept. But anyway, they're in Caesarea, and that was up north in along the ocean. We went in the last. Well, let's just go back up there again. So we're in Caesarea, and this is where the Romans built quite a few buildings, a port and different buildings. And a lot of it fell into the sea, but they did find a column heading a piece of stone that had part of the name of Pontius Pilatus on it. And this is where later that they take Paul when he leaves, and they try to kill him, the Jews do, and they take him up to Caesarea. So this centurion, it says, it was esavis ke phovumenos ton theon, pious and fearing God. Remember I mentioned the phovo. Here it is up here, the phovo. Whenever you see the phi, omicron, vita, phovo, and generally an omicron afterwards, has to do with fear. This is the verbal form, participle. Fearing God. Sin panti to eco of too, with all his house. Well, he was fearing God, the God of Israel and the Jews. He knew him. He didn't know Jesus yet. And his house. Pion te elimosinas polas to leom, both performing much charity to the people. Ke theomenos to theou the apantos, and beseeching God always. A very pious man, of savis, as it says up here. Paid attention to what God was all about, that he was the creator, and pray to him, and he being a Roman, of course, they had their other pantheon of gods, but Israel was the only place probably in the world that had a monotheistic structure where they only had one God. The Greeks had many. The Romans had renamed a lot of the Greek gods. In verse 3, even in oramati phanaros osi oran enatin ti simeris angelon tu theou iselthonta prosaf ton. And he beheld in a vision openly about the 9th hour of the day an angel of God entering to him. So this visions, oramates, number 3705. I'll just read a few of the 3705, the first three that appear in the lexical concordance of the Apostolic Bible. The first one is in Genesis 15:1, and it says, after these words came the word of the Lord to Abram in a vision, saying. So Abram saw in a vision, whether he were asleep or half asleep, not exactly sure, but we're going to go a little more here. And then in verse 46:2 of Genesis, and God said to Israel as Jacob in a vision in this night, saying, Jacob, Jacob, and he said, what is it? That's the second mention of a orama, a vision. And then in Exodus 3:3, it mentions Moses said, "Going by, I will see this great vision, why it is that the bush is not incinerated." Now, the Apostolic Bible shows you all these words in the Old and the New Testament, so you can make a great Bible study with the helps of the Apostolic Bible by going back into the lexical concordance in the back and going to any number, in this case 3705. So I would encourage you to do a Bible study. This is a very interesting word. It's not real long, maybe about 30 instances that it appears. And take a piece of paper out and then write down on the piece of paper the description of what the vision is. The person was sleeping or awake, if they saw it when they were if they saw a person, if they heard voices, and write all these out, each one, and if one's exactly the same as the other, then just put a little 2 next to it, and if you find more than 3, 4, 5, however many you find, and then put them in a subject where each one of them has something different about it, and you'll have a fantastic Bible study on what a vision is. I believe it says later the young men will see visions, old men will dream dreams. And so I'm not looking forward to seeing a vision. Unfortunately, I'm going to be doing more dreaming, I guess, but there's a lot to it. And so he beheld in a vision openly. So it means he must have been awake. About the 9th hour of the day, an angel of God entering to him. So, what happened? Ke iponta avto, and having said to him, Cornelius, O they atenisas avto, and gazing upon him, Cornelius was like, what in the world? Where did he come from? This person could come in here and kill me if he wanted to. Is this an assassin? Who knows what was in his mind? He's gazing on him. It says, Ke emphobos genomenos, and becoming thrown into fear, Ipe, tiesti Kyrie, what is it, O Lord? I don't believe he's using the word Lord as God, but as somebody that was important. Ipe they avto, e prosevke su ke e elimosini su anevisen is minimosinon inopiantu theu. Your prayers and your charity, giving alms, eleemosynary is a person that gives money to charity. Your charity ascended for a memorial before God. So our prayers are heard by God. And his word, God sent the angel and was telling him, Kenin, Pempson is Eopin Andres, and now send forth unto Joppa, send forth men unto Joppa. Joppa was south of Caesarea. Ke metapempse Simona osepicalite Petros. And we mentioned in the last chapter, we went through there where he healed Tabitha. He stayed in Joppa. And so God's telling him to fetch Simon. Utos xenizete para tini Simoni versi. This one lies with a certain Simon a tanner, o estenikia para thalasan, whose house is by the sea. And that's exactly what it said in the last chapter. Utos lalisi si ti se di pien. This one shall tell to you what it is necessary for you to do. Os the apilthen o angelos o lalon to Cornelio, and when the angel speaking to Cornelius departed, phonesis theoton iketon aftu, having called 2 of his servants, a duo, duo is a derivative, Ke stratiotin, a savi, and a pious soldier, ton proscarterun ton afto, of the ones attending constantly to him. So here's one of the soldiers that was also pious towards God. A strategy is the derivative for this word here, a soldier. ke exegisamenos aftis apanta. And having described to them all things, apestilin aftus istin iuapin. He sent them unto Joppa. So all they hop on their horses and head south. Tide apavrion, and the next day, o the porunton ekinon ke ti poli agizonton, and the next day as those are journeying and approaching the city of Joppa, anevi Petros epi todoma prosevxase peri oranectin. Peter now ascended upon the roof. Thoma, we have a dome as a derivative, to pray around peri, perimeter around, the 6th hour, oran aura. It's almost a transliteration, or it is a transliteration. Ageneto they prospinos, and he became hungry, ke il ithele gevsas, they wanted to taste. Paraskevazonton they ekinon, but as those were making preparations, the people downstairs, women probably, epepis and epafton ecstasis, there fell upon him a change of state. There's a word we have, it's English trivias is ecstasy. And ecstasis, a change of state. It's not always something good, it's just a change. Ke theori ton oranon aneogmenon ke katavenon epafton skevos ti os othonin megalin. And he viewed the heaven being opened and descending unto him a certain item as a great piece of cloth. Tessar sin arcase dedamenom, the four corners being tied. The rope or something tied on to the four corners and was being lowered. Here it says K. Kathielmenon, epitis geese, being lowered unto the earth. And o iperche patata tetrapoda tis geese, in which were all the four-footed creatures of the earth, the tetrapods. So that dogs and camels, giraffes, who knows, all these four-footed creatures, they were all, most of them were unclean animals, not to be eaten, camels and horses and so forth. Keta theria, and the wild beasts, hippopotamus and rhinoceros and monkeys and who knows. Keta erpeta, and the reptiles, and who knows, snakes, alligators, all kinds of crocodiles that they had. They were in there. And Keta petina tu urani, and the birds of the heaven. So all these different animals, mainly unclean animals, were lowered down. Ke ageneto phoni prosafton, and there came a voice, a phone is the derivative, to him. Anastas, Petre, rise up, Peter. Now it doesn't call him Peter, the same as Jesus, Petros, Peter, not Simon. He was called him Simon earlier, that's who it was. Theson kephage, sacrifice and eat. Now I underline this one because you can add it to your English derivatives of the Greek New Testament. Another number in there, 2068. Phage, we have the esophagus, for that word. O they Petros epe, Peter said, midamos, Kyrie, by no means, O Lord, oti o that pote ephagon pan kinon iakatharton, for at no time made I anything common or unclean. Please, no, don't make me do that. And so apparently Peter lived in a pious life also in obeying the laws, the dietary laws of the Jews. 15. Ke phoni palin ek devtero prosavton, and a voice again from a second time came to him, the Deuteronomy, the second book of the law, Nomi, his law, devteru. A otheos ekatharsi simi kinu. What God cleansed, you are not to make unclean. So now God has changed the things that he has set up. He's now making these animals that were unclean clean. They can eat them. And just as Moses was given the rules, Mount Sinai, what they couldn't do, here now Peter is shown that this is now changed. Tuto they ageneto epitris, unto three times tripod, three-footed, tris. Ke palin analiphthi to skevos iston oranon. And again, the item was taken up into the heaven. 3 times this happened, so Peter got the idea. Os the in iafto the pori o petros ti an to orama o ide. And Peter was perplexed within himself, whatever the vision may be which he beheld. There's again orama, a vision. So he was awake, but yet he was in this ecstasy or changed of state. So see, now when you start writing this down, you're going to get all this information about what a vision is. And you'll really enjoy doing these studies like this. I'll try to bring out more words that you can do and you'll enjoy, as far as not real huge and fairly easy to do. Ke idu, and behold, I anthros I apestalmeni apo to Corneliu theorotisantes tin Ikian Simonos. Well, Simonos, Epestus and Epiton Pilona, having inquired about the house of Simon, stood at the vestibule. So now all these men that came from Caesarea have arrived. Kephonis santes epinthanonta, and calling out they inquired, Is Simon o epikalumenos Petros enthade xenizete? Does Simon, the one being called Peter, lodge here? Tu de Petru enthymumenu peri tu oramatos. And Peter, pondering over the vision, ipanavto to pneuma, the Spirit, said to him, Idu, andros trisi tu si se, 3 men seek you. Ke anastas, and having risen up, katavithi, go down, ke porevu sin aftis. Me then the akrinomenos, and go with them, examining nothing. Just go and do what I tell you to do. Theoti ego apestolka aftus, for I have sent them. 21. Katavas de Petros prostus anthros, and Peter, having gone down to the men from upstairs, Epan said, Idu, behold, I go imi on zitite, I'm whom you seek. Tis iaitia ti thein paraste. What is the reason for which you are at hand? They're probably thinking they're coming to arrest him and take him off, and was maybe fearful. Ide Epan, Cornelios, ekatantarkis, anir dikaios, Cornelius, a centurion, a just man, and one fearing God. Fuvumenos ton theon. That was a good thing that he heard that. Martyrumenos te ipo olu tu ethnus ton iutheon, and borne witness by the entire nation of the Jews. All the Jews bore witness to his giving alms and helping people and being pious. Ekrimatisti ipo angelu agiu, metapempsas they say, iston ikon avtu, received a divine message by a holy angel to fetch you into his house. Ke akuse rimata parasu, and to hear words from you. Wow, Simon's like, what is this all about? Here is this important centurion, and he wants me to come, but then again, these are not believers are not Jews, and I'm really not supposed to be with them. So he was like, what am I doing here? What's going on? Iskalasamenos un aftus, then having invited them, exenisse, he enlodged them. So he gives into having him come in and lodging them for the night. Te de apavrion o Petros exilthe sin avtin. And the next day Peter went with them, ke tinus ton adelphon ton apo euapi sinilthan avto. And certain ones of the brothers from Joppa went together with him. And then later they go to Jerusalem. Ke te apavrion isilthon istin Caesarian. So they spent a day on the road. His horses going down to Caesarea. O de Cornelius in pros thokon aftus. And Cornelius was expecting them. Sin calasamenos tu singenis aftu, ketus anankeus philus. And Cornelius, and having called together his relatives and important friends. So he called together all these people. Os de ageneto iselthin ton Petron. And as it came to pass, at Peter entering, sinantisas afto, having met him, O Cornelius peison epitus pothus prosekinason. Cornelius, having fallen at the feet, did obeisance. Now this is word is worship in the King James. I'm not sure on this exact spot, but generally the word for 4352 is worship. But it's not. He falls at the feet and did obeisance on his face to a higher authority, and the centurion, that is, to Peter, because Peter was the subject that God is sending to the man, Cornelius. O de Petros igere afton legon. But Peter raised him, saying, Anastithi, rise up. Kago aftos anthroposemi, for I also myself am a man. Ke sino milon afto, and accompanying him, Isilthe ke avriski sinelithotas polus. He entered and found many were come together. So the centurion came out and met him and went down on his face, and now they got up and go into the house, and ephite pros aftus, and he said to them, Emis epistaste os athemiton estin andri iudeo kolaste e prosercheste alophilon. You know that it is unlawful for a man, a Jew, which he was, to join or approach a Philistine. Alophilon, other tribes, this means. Alo is other, and philon, a phylum, is a tribe. The small, the lower case, I have it for, it's a sort of a derogatory term, a Philistine. It's still even used today in certain ways. Those people were the Palestinians, but a Philistine was not somebody held in high esteem by the Jews. Ke kami o theos edhixe mithena kinon ik akatharton legin anthropon. And God showed to me not to call a man common or unclean. So now he's not even to call them common or unclean. So the first time it was the food that he was able, God changed that. Now God is changing the attitude, in that no, everybody is accepted by God. Before, the Jews were the chosen, and now it's open to anybody. And Peter now sees this and tells Cornelius and the people. Theo ke anantiritos ilthon. Therefore also indisputably I came, metapemphthis, having been fetched. Pinthano me un tini logo metapempsas they me. I inquire then to what matter you fetched me. Ke o Cornelios Ephi, And Cornelius said, Apotetartis imeris mekritavtis tis oras, emin nistevon. From 4 days ago until this hour I was fasting. So all this time that passed and sending the people and staying for a day and coming back. Ketin enatin oran prosev homenos. And the 9th hour praying. So after his fasting, apparently for 3 hours, and he was praying. Into iko mu, in my house. Keidu, and behold, anir esti enopion mu in estheti lampra. A man stood before me in bright attire. A lamp is a derivative lampra here in 2986. Ke fisi Carnelii, and he says, Cornelius, isi kusti su e prosev ki. Your prayer was listened to. Ke e elimosine su emnistison enopion to theou. And your gifts of charity were remembered before God. Verse 32, Pempson un is Ioapin, send forth then unto Joppa, ke metakalese Simona, call for Simon, os epikalite Petros, who is called Peter. Utos xenizate in Ikia Simonos Verseos Parathalason. This one lodges in the house of Simon a tanner by the sea. Os paragenomenos, who having come, lalise, see, shall speak to you. Exaftis un epempsa pros se. Immediately then I sent to you. Si te kalos episas, and you did well, paragenomenos, having come. Nin un pantas emis enopion to theou, parestimen, acuse pantata prostatagmena, si, ipotutheu. Now then all we before God are at hand to hear all the things assigned to you by God. We're all listening. Anixus the Petros to stoma avtu, and Peter, having opened his mouth, Epen said, Ep aletheus katalamvano me oti uk esti prosopolites otheos. In truth, I am overtaken that God is not one who discriminates. Al in panti ethni ophovumenos afton ke ergazomenos dikeasinin dectos afto esti. But in every nation, fearing him and practicing righteousness, it is acceptable to him. And this was prophesied in the Old Testament. So he sees this now, that all peoples are acceptable to him, although he's going to run into problems with this later with the Jews in Jerusalem. Ton logon on apostile tis ius Israel, the word which he sent to the sons of Israel, evangelizomenos, announcing good news, Irini dia Isu Christu, peace through Jesus Christ. Utos esti panton Kyrios, this one is Lord of all. Evangelizing is the derivative of Irene. You don't hear that name for a woman anymore, but when I was a kid, there was quite often people named Irene. It means peace. You know, either te to genomenon rima kath olis tis iutheus, the thing taking place in all Judea, arxamenon apotis Galileas, beginning from Galilee, meta to baptisma o akirixen Ioannis, after the immersion which John proclaimed. What? Soon, Jesus ton apo Nazareth, Jesus the one from Nazareth. Os ekrisen avton o theos pneumati agio, how God anointed him in Holy Spirit. Ke dynami, and power. Maybe the centurion saw that. Maybe he was there at the crucifixion. I don't know. But maybe he's heard about it, but he Apparently he has, because Peter's telling him this. You've heard about it. Os dielthen evergeton ke iomenos pantus tus katadinas stevomenus ipotu diavolu, who went through benefiting and healing all the ones being overpowered by the diavolu, the devil. Oti otheos in medavtu, for God was with him. Ke imis esmen martires panton on episen in te hora ton iudeon ke in Jerusalem. And we are all witnesses of all a martyr, which he did in both the region of the Jews and in Jerusalem. They saw it on. They're telling the centurion, we were there. We saw everything. We saw him right here. On anilon krematantens epik silu, whom they did away with by hanging upon a timber. We saw that. Tuton otheos igire triti imera. This one God raised up in the third day, ke edelken afton emphani geneste, and appointed him to become a parent, which he did. Jesus became a parent to the disciples, to Peter. He's telling him, I seen them, a man rose from the dead. Upantito leo, not to all the people, Allah martirsi tis prokechirotonimenis, ipo to theou, but to witnesses being inaugurated by God. So he didn't appear to everyone, he just to the ones, the witnesses being inaugurated by God, chosen by God. Imin itenes sinaphagomen ke sinapiomen afto meta to anasthene afton ek nekron. To us who ate with and drank with him after his rising up from out of dead ones. And it wasn't a spirit. We didn't see a ghost. We ate with him and we drank with him. And he's telling him this is a real thing. And Ke paringilan imin kirikse toleo, and he exhorted us to proclaim to the people. Ke dia martiraste oti aftos estin o orismenos ipotu theou, kritis zosen ke nekron, and to testify that he is the one being confirmed by God as judge of the living and dead ones. Verse 20, Matthew 24 talks about how Jesus comes down and he chooses some to go up with him and others to stay there. That's a form of judging right there. And the dead ones, and later the great judgment, the people will be separated as the sheep from the goats, and dead ones will come back, some to life eternal and some to eternal aeonial judgment in outer darkness. Tuto pontus e prophete martyrusin. To him all the prophets bear witness. Aphasin amartion lavin thea to onomatos avtu pantaton pistevon tais avton. To receive a release of sins through his name for everyone believing in him, of which we are. We receive the forgiveness, a release of sins through his name, everyone believing in him. So he's offering this now to these people, the family and friends of the centurion. Eti laluntos tu Petru ta rimata tafta, while Peter was speaking these things, epepese to pneumato agion epi pantus tus akuontas ton logon. The Holy Spirit fell upon all the ones hearing the word, fell upon them. Ke exestisan e ek peritomis pisti. And the ones from the believers from the circumcision, the Jews, were amazed. And they saw this. Not only was it them, but it's also these people of the centurion, these non-Jews. Osisiniothon to Petro, that is the believers of the circumcision that came with Peter. And so they were Jews, and they were still holding to these laws of circumcision and different things, the dietary laws. And they came with Peter. Now, it doesn't say that they saw what Peter saw about this blanket coming down with all these animals, but maybe I'm sure he told them that. Otike epita ethni idorea to agiu pneumatos echechite. Also, the present of the Holy Spirit has been poured out upon the nations. It's a present that God gives, and it says it's poured out. It's free. It's not anything that you have to pay for, like Simon the magician thought. It's not something you pay for. It's not something that you have to climb Mount Everest or break a speed record. You don't have to do anything difficult. The Holy Spirit is a present to us and to anyone that asks. That I'm sure the Holy Spirit will be poured out on that person. Ikuungar afton lalunton glosses ke megalinon ton theon. For they heard them speaking languages and magnifying God. So, I don't know, maybe these friends of Cornelius are speaking Roman, and they never knew anything like that. Or the Romans were speaking Hebrew or Greek, and they were magnifying God in these languages or tongues. Literally, it's a tongue. There's a lot about that. Another word, 1100, you can go through and see how it's used in many places. They were magnifying God. Tote apekrithi o Petros. Then Peter responded, Miti to idor kolise dinate tis tu mi vaptistine tutus etinis to pneumato agion elavon kathos ke emis. Shall water be able to be restrained to anyone of these to not be immersed who received the Holy Spirit? So, can we not immerse them? The answer is no. You can't. You have to. Yes, you can't restrain it. Prosetaxe te aftus vaptistine into onomati tu Kyriou, and he assigned them to be immersed in the name of the Lord. So they went and found some water and were immersed. Tote erotis son afton epimenon imeris tenus. And they asked him to remain some days. So Peter now is in Caesarea, and with these non-believers who are now believers, and that they are accepted by God, and these people are wanting to know all kinds of things about the Scriptures, I'm sure. It wasn't just being pious and praying and doing and fasting, but there's so much in the Old Testament to learn and things of Jesus. And so this is what they wanted, and Peter is going to be with them and tell them all the things that he saw. And I'm sure they were all excited about this and hearing the things that Peter saw and amazed. And it continues in chapter 11 of the repercussions that flew all the way down into Jerusalem about what's going up in Caesarea. And I hope you'll join us in chapter 11. And God bless.